away. Oh, hey, it jumped right in there. And,
I guess it works. I guess it works.
I guess we're here. I pushed the right button, but I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah,
Hey,
well,
but it's trash talk, and we're starting off in a typical way, trashy,
trashy.
really screwing things up. But we're glad to have you with us. Hey, it's a Memorial weekend, lots of stuff going on, and it was the Indy 500 was this weekend. People were traveling. People are starting to get ready for the vacation season, and we're getting ready for the vacation season too. And one way we're going to get ready for the vacation season is we are welcoming back David Jordan and our friends over at Patriot Sandwich Company. We salute you, David. The COVID kind of hit him sideways 12 different ways and knocked him out, closed his doors for a while. He regrouped, got some people together. His doors are open. The sandwiches are just as great as ever, fresh as can be. And in that time that he was closed, I went to lots of different sub shops and everything. Ain't none of them compare to what David Jordan and his guys do over there. So in Denton, stop by, go online. The website's right there on the screen. Go by, stop and see David Jordan and his gang over there. Get yourself a sub sandwich and mention Trash Talk. They'll take special good care of you.
I know. In that time he was closed, I lost weight. I was like, all right, that's the David Jordan plan there. Forget the keto diet.
Yeah. And what's interesting, when you go in there, you get the sandwich, and the sandwiches are just incredible. I mean, honest to goodness, when you go to a regular sub shop, they put a little bit of meat and a little bit of cheese and stuff on. He gives you a portion of meat. In fact, you can have two sizes. And if you get just the regular portion, it is more than enough to fill you up. But Absolutely. Then you can get the meal plan where it has a bag of chips and a drink. I don't know what the heck you really need a bag of chips to go with that meal, because his sandwiches are just, and the sauces, I won't even go there. You got to go to Patriot Sandwich, order your sandwich, and put on a couple of his homemade sauces. You got about 8 to 10 to choose from. Incredible. I'm getting hungry right now. I may have to head over there after the show.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've been there. So I'm excited. I'm happy to see David Jordan back. It's tough to run a restaurant anyway. And then you've got this COVID nonsense, and then you got life and blah, blah, blah. But thank God he's back. It really makes me happy to see that.
And a portion of every sandwich that he sells and all goes to help his nonprofit. We Got Your Six, which helps veterans, homeless veterans and all. He's just a great guy, and well worth the drive over there to eat a sandwich there and take a couple home.
Absolutely.
So, and speaking of getting on the road and going on road trips over there, are you starting to make plans for the summer where you're gonna travel?
I always make plans. It's whether they get done or not, it's two different things. But yeah, I had to do some adjustments this coming summer. I had my vision, and then I took my vision down a little.
Right.
And then I had a realistic vision, and then I even had a more realistic vision. So, yeah, I'm definitely doing that. This summer I'm not doing any big vacation, so to speak. There was some talk of heading to the beach for a week or so. I got a lot going on this summer. I'm in the process of moving in just the next few months, so I don't need to be going on vacation. But I want to do something. And we're going to start doing, we're doing some more road trips, overnight, 2 nights, 3 nights, random trips throughout the state of Texas. I'm excited about it. Some places I haven't been before, some places that I have been, but we're going to see the other side of it. And I love that sort of thing. Sometimes I enjoy that more than just a long vacation. I'm very excited about it. What about you? Where are you going?
Well, I think we're going to take a road trip back to Chicago, because I want to go back and see some baseball games and see my daughter do that. We've talked about, maybe another trip to Florida, or I'd like to get down to the southern coast a little bit too. But like you said, you make plans and say, oh, maybe we'll drive across Canada, and then it kind of you kind of refine that down to maybe we'll go to the next county.
Right.
But I mean, I'm the same way. I'm thinking about maybe we'll drive down and spend a little time along the Gulf of Mexico, and then I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll just go over to Denton to the Lake Louisville beach.
I was just there actually at Lake Louisville Beach. Not too. I was just there. When I say just there, I mean like yesterday.
I mean, sand is sand, so whatever. But I started to look on the computer to try and find some things that were maybe a little different and unusual, especially like a day trip that I could take with my grandson.
Yes.
And there are some interesting things out there. One that I found and for those that are in the DFW area, it's over in Allen. It's called the Dinosaur Company. And it is a facility that manufactures audio animatronic dinosaurs. Like the ones that you saw in Jurassic Park.
Those weren't real?
Huh?
What the heck?
Yeah, they're real audio animatronic dinosaurs. But this place makes them, and they send them to zoos all over the country. I think that there has been some involvement with some movie productions and everything, but I understand that I think they have tours that you can go through and see how they're made. And I think it's probably a pretty cool thing, but that's a little off the beaten path.
Yeah, that's also just kind of fascinating too.
Yeah.
I don't want to take my son to that because he'll think they're killing the dinosaurs, but yeah, no, that's a cool one. There are those, and then of course, Allen, where we're located, it's not that far. You go have lunch, you go to that's a good time.
And you have talked about, everybody likes to go down to a body of water. Sometimes it's just to the beach, just to enjoy the shore. But I think you mentioned about a place where you can go pan for fossils. And that's a pretty cool thing to do with kids too.
There's a couple of those. Exactly. I had a blast.
Yeah.
There's a couple of those around here, around us. One of them is one of my, I always talk about it. It sticks out because I just love the area. And it's Glen, which is about an hour, 45 minutes. If you're doing good, it says 2 hours, but depends on what area you go. And they have Dinosaur Valley there, which is an amazing state park. So forget the dinosaur aspect of it.
Yeah,
they have an amazing state park there. Beautiful. Water is just so, it's beautiful. And to only go 2 hours and see the difference in scenery is unreal. But the cool thing about it is, again, you get to see real life dinosaur footprints that are in the water. Like we came down this ridge and looked, and here's this clear body of water, probably comes up to your ankles, maybe up to your knees. And there's footprints in there that are real. They're roped off. Obviously you can't go in there, and they've been there for thousands of years. Then they tell you what dinosaur it is. Then, it's so cool. And as you walk along this park, this state park, you could hike, you can camp, you can, have your lunch or whatever. There's tracks everywhere. And they're roped off. Obviously they want to protect them.
Right.
And there's little plaques that tells you what it is. Then there's dinosaur fossils in the side of when I say mountain, it's not mountain, let's just say rock. Hills. In the hills. A pretty big hill. I got some video footage of Luke and I climbing, and he was on my shoulders. So it's kind of a complicated climb. Because he was only 2. But they're inside of the rock. And I'm like, but then they have a section where you can go look for your own little fossils, and you get the little sand thing and you chip away, and you pay like $8 for the day to get inside there. Like pack your lunch. It's amazing. And then of course, if you camp, you could get a little tiny, fisherman's cabin for like $25, or you could pop a tent. But I just think stuff like that is again, educational and fun,
You know, I mean, and folks that are watching and listening, don't think, oh, that's great. You got all that cool stuff around northern Texas and everything.
Oh,
Wherever you are in the country, just Google it, check it out, because I gotta believe that all the people that live west of the Mississippi, I
oh
mean,
yeah.
there are all kinds of parks that have all kinds of memorabilia from when the settlers crossed country, when they panned for gold, when I know that along Route 66 there's actually a resort that you can stay at, that where each one of the rooms is in an authentic Indian teepee, or a replica of an Indian teepee, a teepee village. There are places across the country where you can stay overnight in a treehouse.
They're
Uh,
right.
we
I
got
was
some
looking
of
into
those here in
that.
Texas, but
Yeah.
I know that they got them all over the country. And you just got to Google this stuff. And like Brandon's saying, some of this stuff really is very affordable. You don't have to go down to a seaside and spend $200 a night for a room with a balcony that overlooks the water. I mean, what better could be better than staying in a little log cabin over a lake with a little boat? You go out and you throw a cane pole into the water and pull out a fish. I mean, that's vacationing to me.
Yeah, and I don't get me wrong. I love the other option too. Going to looking at the beautiful ocean and going somewhere, like
Right.
that. Don't get me wrong. I love that. But especially now, especially over the last couple of years, the way that financially a lot of people have taken a hit. And even if you haven't taken a hit, things are just expensive. So when you're looking at these long road trips to Florida and you're driving, gas
Yep.
is through the roof, like and then you look at a plane ticket and you're like, oh great, I got to get a plane ticket for four people. It's you gotta realize that your vacation doesn't have to be ruined. You can go to some of these great places. This place behind me right here, this tiny house, that's actually a tiny house that we stayed in.
Really?
And yes, and it's down in Waco, and it's an old cargo shipping container turned into a tiny house. That thing
Yeah.
right there was $60 a night. Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. We had a blast.
It's and I mean, you can go to really different, unusual places. I mean, you can go down to Mexico and go to Chichen Itza and all climb the old Inca
Oh,
pyramids and stuff like that.
yes.
No, that's going to cost you a pretty penny to do something like that. But then there's all kinds of things that are just, as I say, they're just affordable and different, odd. For instance, if you ever get down to Key West, Florida, and all Key West, Florida has an above ground cemetery. and 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 it's really pretty cool, because Key West, Florida is at sea level.
Yeah.
So obviously they can't dig graves into the ground, because you're going to hit water. You're going to
Can't
hit
they just toss the
cold rock
bodies
and
in the
water.
water? Can't they just
So
toss them in the water?
yeah. So
If I lived in Key West and I died, I'd just be like, they just toss me in the water. I want to see if a
put me in
shark
a
eats me.
put me in a raft and send me, out
Yeah.
to sea. But I
Cheaper.
mean, New Orleans. I think New Orleans, which also is at
Yeah.
sea level, also has an above ground cemetery. They've shot in a lot of good movies. In fact, one of my favorite old movies with Peter Fonda. Why is it? It's with the motorcycles, was shot in a big scene with Karen Black in the cemetery in New Orleans. But what's interesting is you can take a tour through the cemetery in Key West, because there's lots of notables and everything that are buried there. My favorite, and if you ever get down to see this cemetery, there is a guy who nobody really knew who he was, but he's buried above ground in a tomb, and a marker, and on the marker is got his name and the day that he died, and a quotation that says, "I told you I was sick." It says that on his head. So I told you I was sick. And so forever, that's it. And here I am.
That's cool. I mean, it's definitely an oddity, you know.
Yeah.
It reminds me of there's a Netflix series documentary. I should have did this on our other show. It's called Dark Vacations or Dark Trips or Dark Places. This guy travels the globe, and including here in the United States, to take these trips, these vacations at very strange places, like to stay at a real voodoo village, to stay, here in the United States. I'll give you one guess on where it's at.
Yeah.
And then the other one was he went to go, there was a site of some mass serial killer's place, and they built a hotel there, so we stayed there.
Well,
And-
the Bates Motel,
Well, yeah, the Bates Motel.
where Psycho, that the Bates Motel is now a museum that you can go see.
Well, in October, I'm going to spend the night down at, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They have the house down here. It's about 2 hours from here on your way to Austin. They have the house where the crimes took place and where they filmed it. And of course, it was pulled, from a real scenario.
Right.
I'm spending the night there in that house, and we're doing a screening of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
You're just spending one night there?
Well, I'll probably be dead when I get out, but there's a diner, which almost sounds disturbing considering they were cannibals. But yeah, it's this big thing. But this guy does these trips, and I bought my ticket for it. That was like my birthday present to myself. So I'm not taking my son to this. No.
That reminds me of that song by the Eagles, Hotel California.
Yeah.
So you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
I know. I feel like this is exactly how horror movies start. Hey, let's go visit this place. And then next thing you know, you're like, oh, it's real.
Right. And your family gets a ransom note.
Right. Well, they're not going to pay that.
You know what I could see you doing, because I know your love for the bizarre and everything, would be to go to Europe sometime and travel medieval castles.
I think that would be so cool. I just watched a documentary on that. I love that stuff. I think it's so fascinating, that time of our lives. Well, as Earth,
And I mean, that's something that here in America we don't have. We don't have medieval castles because we're not that old.
I saw some cool ones in Ireland, but I want to go. You know what? One of my dream checklists, bucket list, got to make it happen.
Yeah.
I want to go see Dracula's castle. I know it's only part of it left, but I think that is so amazing that it's there. And the stories I've heard that have, from the people that live there, and just the things that have gone on that they think go on still in that castle. I got to be there. I got to go check it out. I got to.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would really be cool, because I mean, there are some that are, 500, 600, 700, 800 years old, maybe even older. And to see those, because I mean, we don't have anything here in this country that's more than 250 years old. And if it's even left.
I was going to say, is it even around anymore?
Yeah. But, I mean, I'm a big, I guess probably the closest thing that we got here is probably the Vanderbilt property that's down in North Carolina, and in Asheville, North Carolina, because it's a great, big, huge estate, and still there after, more than a century or so. But again, that's only 100 years or whatever.
That's the thing.
I think it's fascinating, because every state has got something that is historical. Parks are parks, and national parks are one thing, but there are all these small parks and all that have lots of history, and a lot of times they have walking paths, and those walking paths could be maybe 2 miles, 5 miles or something. They're very doable, instead of putting you out in a 400,000 acre national park. But really cool stuff to go and see. And some are guided, some are not guided. The Everglades down in Florida is fascinating. with the above water walkways that you can go out off. You very often see alligators because
Oh,
they see you and they figure you're probably going to have something to throw in the water to them.
your wife or
Yeah, I mean, really cool stuff, and it's worth it. Just check it out.
I love that. You brought that up. I'm glad you. It's one of my. That's one of my favorite things about Florida is the Everglades. I'm truly fascinated by it to this day. As a kid, I was, and even as an old man, I am. So,
And it's quiet.
yeah,
It is quiet, and especially to go there at sunrise or at sunset. It's really amazing to see the sun coming up or setting over the horizon and all while you're out there, whether you go out into an airboat into the reeds or you just walk along the pathways and everything. Pretty cool place. But there's lots of them everywhere you are. And if you're in a state where there's some really neat parks like that, that they're starting to open up these like safari type parks around the country where they've got animals that walk wild. You just drive through and see the animals in a quote unquote natural habitat. It's really cool. It's really interesting to see. You don't need to go to Africa on a safari to see it. A lot of those are right here in America.
that's true. And there's actually two little places. Again, going back to Glen, one of the places I've been looking at when we go back down there to not go to Dinosaur Valley again, but to stay at one of these. They've got this huge safari ranch, and I read up on it. So this isn't just like some Yahoo who has money, who's whatever. This is legit. They're protecting these animals and stuff. But every one of these rooms has an open window. When I say open window, open view, big view.
Yeah.
Giraffes come to your room. And you can feed the giraffes in the morning or sometimes in the evening. And they said they guarantee whether you stay there one night or 2 nights, a giraffe is going to come to your room so you can feed them. And I'm like, I got to take my son. Like, that's cool, man. Like, I want to wake up and see a giraffe. That's awesome, It's a little pricey, but the experience and what they include. They include, you can drive through, they include the swimming, they include a meal. I'm like, oh, well, that's cool,
There's no limit to the things that you can explore. Just do a little homework. I mean, Google is just amazing. So if you decide you're going to another state, just type in that state and things to see, and you could just sit there for hours and until you find the one that's really sounds right just for you.
Yeah, I always almost a couple times a year. I mean, depending on like if we go out of state, I do that. But here in Texas, because lately that's what we've been doing, whether that be because of COVID or whatever, I'll just be like unique things to do in Texas within 30 miles, within 40 miles. I feel like every time I do it, something weird pops up and I'm like, cool, we're going to this one today.
Right. Right. Well, you go out to your tiny house and climb up the spiral staircase to the deck on the roof, and I'll pack up the family truckster. We're heading to Wally World. But wherever you go, drive safely. And you may really want to look into some of those shorter trips because, as long as the gas prices are kind of up there, the shorter trips become almost, more enjoyable and more achievable.
Yeah.
But wherever you go, enjoy it. And also on Tuesday mornings at 8 o'clock, just wherever you are, just turn on YouTube or something and check out Trash Talk because we'll be here waiting for you. Right?
Yes, we will.
All right. Catch you next time.